Okay, in this video, this is going to be your first step into AutoCAD. We're going to start with opening the application and moving through some of the real basic concepts into drawing with AutoCAD. So to get started, we need to find the icon. This is the AutoCAD 2021 icon on my desktop here, or I've also pinned it to my quick bar down here. So either one of these will work. Go ahead and launch AutoCAD by double-clicking your left mouse, and you'll see that AutoCAD is going to go ahead and load. Now, AutoCAD loading for the first time may encounter a few license errors. If it does, close AutoCAD and then reopen the application. It will work. So, as this is loading, what I'm going to tell you is this video could actually, well, will probably be kind of long. As you are working your way through this, if you need to take a break, stop the video, pause the video, and come back. I'd also say as you do this, as you're watching the video, pause the video and then try to do the things that you see in the video in AutoCAD yourself. Rewind, watch again, do what you need to. This is not designed to be done in a very short period of time. This is designed to be worked with to learn. Now, to get started, there's several ways that you can go ahead and start a drawing. Okay, obviously where it says get started, start drawing is one way. You can select this button here, giant window. You can always come up to the big A, the red A, left click on the red A, come down to new, click on new, and then you get the new dialog template start. So here's select template. The ACAD, the one that is highlighted in blue, the blank template, it's probably the best place to start, and then hit open. Now, one of the first things you will notice that is different from your AutoCAD to mine is I believe your background will be black and mine is white. Generally, if I'm going to be running in the classroom, I use a white background, so it's easier to see on an overhead projector. If I'm running CAD on my own, I run with a black background. I'll have a later video on how to get in to do some customization stuff with AutoCAD. AutoCAD is very customizable. So as we jump into this, we'll start working our way up here at the top, and we'll start working our way around the interface, down and around to the command line, and then we'll start getting back into drawing. Okay, so first thing I want you to take note of is the ribbon bar. This is the ribbon bar that runs across the top of the screen. This is where you have all of your different CAD tools and hidden tools and everything else up in here. Okay, the first toolbar, or I should say the first tab at the top of the ribbon bar is the Home tab. This is where you're going to find the Draw bar, the Modify bar, Annotation. This is for dimensioning, layers, and so forth. Behind that is the Insert tab. And when you click on these tabs, you can see all the sundry of tools popping up. This is how we can attach photographs and things of that nature to AutoCAD. Annotation, this is for dimensioning and noting and detailing and drawing. Then we get into parametric-based aspects where the dimensions can drive the drawing. View, so forth and so on. We're not going to play around with a lot of the manage or output aspects of AutoCAD in this particular course at this time. We're going to mainly focus on the drafting tools. So they're the tabs, the ribbon bar changes, and you have tools on each one of these ribbon bar panels. All right. Come up here to the big red A. This big red A is where you would go to get a new drawing file. This is where you would open older saved drawing files. They also give you the most recent drawing files. So if I were just to click on the big red A, these are the most recent drawing files that I have had open. So if you were working on something and you just know you're going to work on it again the next day, you can come in and jump right into it. All right, so very convenient. The Save button. This is important to recognize that unlike Google Docs, unlike any Google product, this does not save automatically. You have to save your work, okay? The first time that you save your work, you must save as, and you must save it as a name. So that's very important to go ahead and do that. So let's just go right ahead and save this. So from the Save As dialog here, I'm going to slide over, and I'm going to go up to the top where it says Drawing. Save the current drawing to the default drawing DWG format. DWG is the format just like a doc or Excel file, EXL file. That is the drawing format. So we're going to go ahead and select that option. And now we need to find somewhere to save this. Well, we've already made a folder on our desktop of a device you're working on. So we're going to go ahead and click on the pull down at the top here I'm going to go to my desktop, and there's that CAD folder. All right, so I'm going to then go ahead and select the CAD folder. I double click on mine. I think you might be able to single click yours, but you want to get that to show up. And now I'm going to then highlight down here in the file name, and I'm going to go ahead and call this thing Getting Started. And then I'm going to put my name behind it. All right. And we can either put your name, I would either accept it ahead or behind. Either way, I need to have your name and then the name of the assignment in this drawing convention. Okay. So given that is all set up, I spelled my name wrong, but we'll get that. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. So now that we've saved that file, I don't have to save as again. I just need to hit the little quick save icon at the top. And that's what these are. These are quick icons. New, open, save, save as. These are tons of quick icons. And then all important, here's the undo button. Don't ever forget, you always have an undo button with AutoCAD. Wish we had an undo button in life sometimes, but the undo button is awesome. So anything else down in here, we'll play around with the rest of these. We'll do some printing here today, but we'll do that a little bit later. All right. So we have the big A, we have tabs across the top, the undo button, ribbon bar, tabs behind the ribbon bar as we move across. Okay. Here on these two top tabs, since we're up here at the top, this is the file I'm working on right now. It's called Getting Started Lacharowitz. And if I hit this X, it'll close the file. If I want to get a new drawing, here's another way AutoCAD gives you the option to get a new drawing. You can just click that little new button. Okay. And what that does is it creates another drawing. Now that's drawing 2. Okay. So I don't need to complicate things. I can just close that quickly. And then if I want to get back to that start bar, I can always hit that tab up the top and go back there. So AutoCAD gives you lots of ways to do different things. All right, let's move over here, start working our way down side of the screen here. And what we have here is the close. We have the restore and then also the minimize. Okay, very similar to any other Windows application in that vein. This, however, is going to minimize, restore, okay, the drawing file that we're working on, all right, or close a drawing file. It will not close AutoCAD. To close AutoCAD, you need to close the large X at the top here, and then you can also restore or minimize AutoCAD. Okay, so there's a few ways that you can go ahead and play around with those tabs, but just be aware, this closes AutoCAD, this closes the file that you're working on. Now, coming back down here, this is the glass box concept. I'm going to tell you, do not play with the glass box in AutoCAD at this point in time. If you will, and I'll go ahead and click on one of these corners of my glass box, you can see that what is happening is my entire UCS, that is this Universal Coordinate System, the X, Y, and Z, is flipping and turning. Keep everything set to the top view. It's going to make life a whole lot easier for you as you draw in AutoCAD. All right. As we come down through here and we start working down through the tools, these are also navigation tools. Here's a full navigation wheel. Again, telling you I would not play around with this at this point. This is what gets you into a 3D environment. And right now we're going to be hanging out in a 2D environment until we get used and comfortable with the tools. If for some reason you decided to grab these tools and you start orbiting and the world is all flipped upside down and everything else, what we can do is click on the button that says top and it'll take you back to the top view. Okay, so now pan tool is here. If you select a pan tool, you get this hand. Well, I've never been a big fan of that. I just press in on the roller ball, smash the roller bar gently into the mouse and the hand pops up. If you want to zoom in, roll the ball. If you want to zoom out, roll the ball. So very convenient. Something that you should do a lot is zoom in, zoom out, and then pan back and forth. Okay, so there's we'll get some navigation tools here just so you know how to adjust those. Now across the bottom, all of these tabs down here, these are your drafting utility tools. These are tools that we're going to utilize a good bit throughout this course. We'll have to learn how to turn them on, turn them off. Big thing I'm going to tell you right now is if it's sort of highlighted in blue, it's on. If it's going to be highlighted or in, whoops, get out of there. If it is clicked on and it's black, it's off. Okay, so that's on. And then if it's off, it is a darker sort of turned off color, like the light's been turned off. Okay, so as we come across here, some tools I want you to just take note of is the box with a little box in the corner of it. This is your object snap. This is going to be a very important tool to make sure it is turned on when we start drawing. The same with object snap tracking. This is going to be a very important tool for projecting, and sort of AutoCAD thinks ahead for you. All right. And then, of course, polar tracking. This has to do with the polar coordinates and angles. All right. So given that those are all set, and they're usually set as a default, we're going to stick with that. This down here is your grid. Display grid on. I'm going to turn mine off, and you can see my screen clears. Now, I like to draw without the grid on. I find it to be far more neat and tidied. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, something that you might have noticed is your command line is probably floating. Your command line is probably floating up here. And as I do things on the screen, you might have noticed some things happening here, okay? So as I click on something that pops up, says grid on, command. If I click on this, it's going to say grid off. So it's popping up. Now, what I like to do, because I don't like this in my drawing space, I like to take these two dotted lines, okay, over here on the left-hand side, left click and hold, and then drag it straight down until it stretches all the way across the bottom of your screen. Then let go of the left mouse. This does two things. One, it clears up your drawing space, so there's nothing sort of floating around in your space. The other thing it does is it sets this up that you can see two lines of the command line. And this is very important. The command line is how you communicate with AutoCAD. Anything you do in AutoCAD, let's say we're going to draw a line. So let's just do this so you can see it. Everybody go up to the draw bar, grab the line tool, and you do this by left clicking once. You do not need to hold the mouse, just left click once and then move your mouse. And you can see the command line now says line, specify first point. That's because I gave it a command, line. By clicking on that, it gave it a command. That says line, specify first point. It wants to know, where do you start the line? And now it's telling me, specify first point. Well, I can also see that on my cursor, you can see I have 12.4, 10, 4, 7. These are the cursor sort of running around with the X and Y coordinates as I move. So for me, the X and Y coordinates aren't going to make a whole lot of difference as I just get into free-form drawing at this point. So important to understand. So I'm going to tell this by clicking left once, click, that I'm going to pull a line in this direction. Now, it's asking, specify first point, specify next point. So this is how you communicate. Whenever you're doing something with AutoCAD, look at the command line, all right? Now, since I got a line going, why not? Let's just draw something here. I'm going to pull in. Notice how I zoomed in. I pressed in with the roller ball to move the object I'm working with to the center of the screen. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, push it back over, zoom out a little bit more, because what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to draw a 5 by 5 box. So to do that, you can see I have all of these tools floating around my cursor. Well, you can see that what is in blue right now, that is the length of the line, okay? We'll talk about the other two windows in a second. So as the line's coming across, I'm just type in 5 on my keyboard and hit enter. There you go. So now I have a 5-inch line. It's actually 5 units long, but since we're calling these inches, we're working in inches, okay? So now we're going to actually come straight up. Notice the next objects, the next windows, that 90 over here is truly locking on 90. I also have this green line, green dotted line projecting from the end of my line. That is that tracking, your object tracking. And what that's doing is it's telling you where it's going to go, and we're locking on that polar angle. So at this point, I'll type in 5 and hit enter, and we'll just keep going around. We'll do the same thing this way, 5, enter, and then I'm going to come back down this way. Notice I'm pressing it with my roller ball, pushing the drawing up, and I'm going to zoom in a little closer so I can see what's going on. As I come down and get closer and closer, that green square that just popped up in the word endpoint, what that's saying is I do not need to type in 5. If I just left click, I now have made a line that's 5 inches, and it has been connected to the endpoint of this line over here. All right. Now, AutoCAD is still wanting to draw. I'm done drawing a line, so I'm going to hit escape on my keyboard. The escape key is on the top left of the keyboard, and it is a key you will use a lot in AutoCAD. All right. So that is the basics of the interface. This is how to draw a line. This is how to create a very, very simple object. I would recommend practicing, drawing, making some things. Now, before I say let's go stop and let's go practice drawing, I'm going to make a little mess here. How do we clean up a mess? Well, we can click on a line, we can hit delete. We can click on a line, we can hit delete on the keyboard. Way, way, way too much time. If you left click once, you don't have to hold, but left click once and pan, meaning move your mouse, making what's called a panning window across objects. Left click again, you've highlighted them. Hit delete on the keyboard. If I want to get rid of this whole mess, left click, drag across, left click, delete, and it all disappears. So a few other things that you can do. If I make a circle, and I'm going to go ahead and make a second circle. If I wanted to do the same thing and select these to delete, and I pan across the first, notice I've just got that pan inside that, the circle inside the pan. It selects the whole thing, right? Great. If I come from this window, notice a different color. I cannot, once I cross that circle, it doesn't highlight. I've got to completely engulf that circle inside the panning window to select it. Notice I didn't select the other circle because it wasn't completely engulfed in the pan. So if I want to do what is called, I think this is called left pan versus right pan, it's just different ways to select objects. I would play with that, okay? So I'm definitely going to tell you, take some time, play with the tools that we just did, draw some boxes, draw some things, delete some things. That's what I really want you to do. And then we're going to start talking about how to use the modify commands here in our next session.